Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. You know what, people? I think we need this laugh. Hopefully I give you a few laughs in this video, especially in light of what's transpired in the last couple weeks. We need a good chuckle. And who better to give us something to laugh at than Kamala, the Ugandan nightmare. The failed presidential candidate who was American History X style curb stomped politically by Donald Trump. Well, she's back. All right, she's off her hiatus. Somebody banged on her front door. Kamala. Hey, Kamala, you in there? Huh? She stuck her head up out of the sea of empty prescription pill bottles and Franzia boxes like a drunk meerkat. Somebody dusted her off, threw makeup on her face, and pushed her in front of a camera with Ricky Maddow on MSNBC. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, since she had time off, since she had the experience of getting her ass whooped by the American voter, maybe she's changed, maybe she's learned, maybe she's different, maybe you're wrong. Because she is the same gibberish spewing drunkard that we last saw in November. Kamala loves three things: box wine, prescription pills, and an old man's dick. And I guess she's had plenty of it because she's back on the trail to promote a book. So she sat down with Ricky Maddow. That's a dude, right? Is it? I don't know. You never know these days. But she sat down with Ricky Maddow, and Ricky Maddow said, hey, you got this book, and in it, you say that the reason you didn't pick Pete Buttigieg as your running mate is because he's gay, because he's an Alphabet Soup Group member. And Kamala said, no, that's not what I said. If you take an empty Zoloft bottle and put your ear up to it, you can hear Kamala cackling in the distance. So she says, that's not what I said. I had a campaign. I had 107 days to run my campaign. And as a black woman, and this is actually, I don't know if I missed it. I don't think I did. I was paying attention. But I think that's the first time I've ever heard her claim to be a black woman. Because, before she was lying by omission. She wasn't saying, hey, I'm not black. She just let everybody else call her that and stay silent. But in this interview, and I'll put a link to it in the description box, she says, as a black woman, with 107 days to run, I couldn't have a gay man. It would just be risky. It'd be very risky for me to do that. And she said it wasn't because of any bigotry on my part, any prejudice on my part. No. It was the voter. It was those evil white Bible thumpers who wouldn't want a damn queer. Now, we can take the colored woman, but a colored and a queer? It wasn't on her, it was on them. And she said, it was risky. And the way she said it was almost like, Trump had enough ammunition with me being a black woman. We didn't want to throw a gay dude in there, too, because he would have had a field day with that. You see that, Kamala? She picked Pete Buttigieg as her running mate. He's a queer, gay guy. She's black, he's queer. She's a fake black, he's a real queer. They're running together, so beautiful. Love the blacks, love the queers. Like what? He was just going to stare and be like, oh shit, you see what they did? That wouldn't make a difference. I mean, he wouldn't say anything different that he wasn't already saying about Pete Buttigieg's unqualified bitch ass. And something I'll never forget is seeing a picture of that son of a bitch holding that brand new baby that they adopted, which should be fucking illegal, by the way, chest to chest, like he's a real father. Like his woman just spit that baby out and he needed to take paternity leave. There's nothing wrong with paternity leave if you're a real father. Not if you're a couple selfish gay dudes who want a child even though you didn't pick a path where children come from. You can't get a baby out of your butt. But they're selfish. We want a baby. Never mind the kind of life that baby's going to have and the ridicule that baby's going to go through. No. Me, us. We want a baby. I'll never forget that bullshit. But she says, no, I couldn't do it. Couldn't pick the gay dude. I think it's because she didn't want to lose the black vote. Because generally and traditionally speaking, black folks don't play that shit. They don't support homosexuality. Now, had Pete Buttigieg and the rest of the fucking world not told us he's gay, then that was the only thing about him. If he actually presented himself as someone who's articulate with a plan, who's qualified, people would overlook that because he would have overlooked it too. He wouldn't have said, hey, the most important thing about me is I like penis. But since you did that, since the mainstream mediocres did that, and those shitty empty suit politicians, fuck that. What is being gay? How does that qualify you for anything? Unless we're making porno movies out here, I don't give a shit who you have sex with. But that was the first and most important thing about him. Therefore, it turned off the rest of the country, or most of the country. Not to mention the town, the city that you were mayor of fucking sucks. Crime-ridden, corrupt, poor infrastructure. If you can't run a town, I'm not handing you the keys to the fucking country. But Kamala, you sat there and told us how wonderful these people are simply because they're gay. How qualified they are simply because they're gay. Sloppy Joe letting the Ku Klux Klans pull his aftermarket unnatural titties out on the White House lawn. We have your back. We're here for you queers and trans. And if you dirty straight people, if you filthy straight fucks would just accept them, they wouldn't harm themselves. They only harm themselves and kill themselves because you don't accept them. If you would just hug them and squeeze them and stick your finger up their ass to the second knuckle, they wouldn't hurt themselves. You attend these pride parade events with your husband, your gay bestie, whatever he is, old Dougie Emhoff, who looked very happy on stage at those pride events. He looked like a kid at the park when you tell him it's time to go. Oh, come on, Mom. Come on, Dad. 5 more minutes. Oh, come on, Kamala. Get 2 more dicks, please. All right, Doug. 2 more dicks. 1 in your mouth, 1 in your ass, and then we gotta go. You did all that. You told us all that. You got in front of all these people. I'm an ally. An ally in what, by the way? An ally, calling somebody an ally implies some type of conflict, a war. What are you an ally against? What war are these gay people fighting? Because ever since Will and Grace, they've had it pretty fucking good in this country. So you're an ally against what exactly? Kamala, the Ugandan nightmare? I'm a black woman. No, the fuck you're not. You're not even close. You're a Jamaican and an Indian. It's okay. But you're beating us over the head with this rainbow-colored dildo for the past 5 years, telling us how great they are and wonderful they are and the acceptance that they're so deserving of. Then why didn't you pick one as your running mate? Why did you pick a clammy hand pervert as your running mate? Tim Walz. You picked him over Buttigieg? Oh, and she said, I was so sad about it, but it was too risky. I couldn't do it because you knew you would get bitch slapped harder than you did by the American voter for trotting your fake black ass out there with some gay dude. That's why. Why don't you keep it real, Kamala? Why didn't you sit there and look into Rachel Maddow's puss-loving eyes and tell her that I couldn't do it? Yeah, you damn right I didn't pick him because he was gay. I barely made it picking a straight dude. Politically, Donald Trump, America History X, both of those pieces of shit on the curb of public opinion on election day. But you couldn't sit there, and I'm sure the reason is she has some other political aspirations. She may not be running for the senator or California senator again this time, but she might even run for president again. Who knows? But I think she still has some political, or not senator, I mean governor of California. She still has political aspirations, or she would have told the truth. Or maybe she's not capable of telling the truth. Maybe Kamala Harris, if you take off, and I'm sorry if you're eating or you have food in your stomach, but if you were to take off Kamala's clothing and turn her around, I feel like you would see 4 screws, and if you take them out and open it, there's some kind of circuit board in there because she's not human. So she's void of human emotion. So maybe she's incapable of telling the truth. Maybe she hasn't been programmed to tell the truth. But you know damn good and well the reason you didn't pick Buttigieg is because your sorry-ass boat known as the USS Kamala Harris's presidential campaign would have been fucking sunk in the harbor. You never would have made it out to the open ocean. Because a black vote that you needed so much that you pretty much take for granted, but you really needed it, you know you could kiss that bitch goodbye if you trotted out an Alphabet Soup Group member. Fight me in the comments, bitch. Talk to me, Goose. Why do you think Kamala Harris didn't pick Buttigieg? I mean, you got two of the most heavily guarded, you have the most layers of bulletproof victimhood, a woman of color, and a queer, an Alphabet Soup Group member. They couldn't have touched you. What were you so worried about? That's why I'm meeting you guys in the comments, because all these brains are better than my one. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. I'm out.